Just bring him.
Nah, I don't think so.
He's worried his immigrant father's gonna make him look like some kind of goomba.
Gotta dial it down with
With all the this, what is this?
Well,
fancy, huh? It's called love and affection, then. Unlike you when you met me at the delivery room, you chose to shake my hand. What else was I supposed to do? We just met.
So About Your Father stars the hottest comic at the moment, Sebastian Maniscalco, and Robert De Niro in a film about Sebastian, who is encouraged by his fiancée, played by Leslie Bibb, to bring his immigrant hairdresser father, Salvo, to a weekend get-together with his super-rich and exceedingly eccentric family. The weekend develops into what can only be described as a cultural clash, leaving Sebastian and Salvo to discover that the greatest thing about family is everything about family. Now, I'm not really all that familiar with Sebastian Maniscalco as a comedian. I just barely discovered him a couple weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, maybe. And from what I've seen, when he is on stage, he can bring the laughs. He absolutely is a great comedian from what I've seen. I think he has some funny bits here and there. And so when I saw that he was starring in this movie in the same vein that Joy Coy was starring in Easter Sunday last year, I was really hesitant about this movie, especially when we have two movies starring comedians this year that could have gone down that same road. I could have sworn this movie was going to be this year's Easter Sunday. That is until I saw The Machine, which I will be getting into later. But for the most part, I think the relationship between Sebastian and Robert De Niro in this movie is fantastic as father and son. I really like a lot of these characters. I really like Leslie Bibb as his wife, Kim Cattrall as Leslie Bibb's mom, and David Rash as her dad, Anders Holm and Brett Deer as her brother. I really enjoyed some of these characters, even though at times Anders Holmes can get a little bit obnoxious. I still enjoyed a lot of these characters. I really like the story, kind of setting it in a autobiographical kind of way for Sebastian Maniscalco, where it kind of feels like he's telling the story of his immigrant family coming to the States and basically giving him a better life. So it kind of feels like a autobiography of his life and his family to a degree. And he does have points where he is narrating a lot of the film, which to me personally, sometimes those effects do work. However, for this movie, it just felt like it was just padding out the runtime just a little bit, and they really needed to really fit in some more story, mostly because this movie is about an hour and a half. So for me, for that special reason, it gets a 10 out of 10. But the story overall, I just was not able to get into it. It is a paint by numbers story that we've seen so many times before, and for this type of movie, it will probably work for some people. For me, the thing that really held this movie together, and the thing that I was really looking forward to, because even though I was very skeptical about this movie, hoping that it would not be an Easter Sunday type of movie, like I said, Sebastian Maniscalco, when he is on stage and he is doing his stand-up, he is funny. He has given me one of the hardest laughs that I've had in a long while when he is telling his story about him and his wife going to see Hamilton. So I was really hoping that the comedy in this movie would really work. Overall, it just did not work. And even though there is a good story in here, it just did not come together as a comedy. I think the pacing is okay for the most part, but it's just the comedy and the story overall, it was just something that was not really for me. But overall, if you are a big fan of Sebastian Maniscalco, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this movie because it's going to be right up your alley. However, if you are not familiar with his work or know anything about him, this movie is definitely not going to be for you. But overall, as the film, as the project together, for me personally, I would recommend you guys to skip this movie or watch it on streaming, mostly because I think the comedy here and there is okay, but it just didn't get a lot of laughs out of me. I really like the chemistry between Sebastian and Robert De Niro in this movie. It's just the movie overall really didn't do a lot for me. And if you're a fan of Sebastian Maniscalco, you're going to have a lot of fun with this movie. But just for me, I wanted just a little bit more. But those are my thoughts on About My Father. Are you guys interested in this movie? Are you a fan of Sebastian Maniscalco? And what is your favorite stand-up of his? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.